In this tutorial, you will learn about the math class. The math class is in the java.lang package and contains static methods, one of which we use to generate random numbers. With the Java JDK came ready-made classes you can use. Some of them are compiled into a package, which is just a group of related classes. In order for your program to find some of the classes in the JDK, you have to tell the compiler where they are. You will do this using an import statement at the top of your program. The math class is in a package that is automatically imported for you, so you don't have to worry about the import statement. In the next Scanner class tutorial, you will learn how to use the import statement. The math class is the third type of class you will be using. This type of class contains method marked with the static modifier, meaning you do not need to create an object from the class in order to use the methods. You can just call the methods by first referencing the class name, then the dot operator, then the method name. Notice how the main method in our driver programs are marked with the static modifier. When you run this program, no object is created from the class. The JVM looks for this main method and executes the code. The math class contains mathematical methods. You can look at all of them in the Java API. Here are a few you will be using frequently. The ABS or absolute method accepts an integer value and returns the absolute value of that integer. The square root or SQRT method accepts a double value and returns the square root of the value. There is a second absolute method which works the same as the first, but accepts double values and returns double values. The power or POW method accepts two doubles. The first is the base and the second is the exponent, then calculates and returns the base raised to the exponent as a double value. The last method, random, generates a random number between 0 and 1, but not including 1. Look at the distance formula. Let's write the statements to calculate the distance between 2 points using the methods in the math class. First, we declare a double variable to hold the result. Then we declare 4 integer variables for the xy coordinate values and we'll initialize them. Next, we use the math methods to calculate the distance. We'll use the math.pow method to calculate the difference in x values raised to the power of 2. We'll do the same thing for the y values, add those values together, and then take the square root of the result. The expression on the right is evaluated, and then the results are put into the variable distance on the left. We will use the random method a lot in this class, especially when we are writing games. You will discover there is an entire class called random, which will easily generate numbers for you, but please don't use this shortcut. It is a little more work to use the random method in the math class. This is what is tested on the AP exam. Random generates a random number between 0 and 1, not including 1. So the biggest double returned is 0.999. So let's do an example where we generate either a 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. First I'll declare an integer variable called random num. Then I'll run the math.random method. This will give me a number between 0 and 0.999. The smallest number I can get is 0, and the biggest number I'll get is 0.999. I can get any decimal value in between. I'll multiply my results by 5. Multiplying 0 by 5 will give me 0. Multiplying 0.99 by 5 will give me 4.999. So this will calculate some number between 0 and 4.999. After I've generated this double number, I will cast it as an int. Casting as an int will remove the decimal portion, and I will have a number between 0 and 4, or 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. What if I don't want to start at 0? What if I want to generate a random number between 1 and 10? I'll declare my int variable random num, and then I'll start with the math.random method. This generates a number between 0 and 0.999. I'll multiply that by 10, so that's going to give me a number between 0 and 9.999. And then I'll go ahead and cast that number as an int. And the result will be either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. But I want numbers between 1 and 10. So what should I do with that number that is generated? I'll add 1. That'll give me a number between 1 and 10, 1 being the smallest, 10 being the biggest. Notice where I'm casting. I generate the random number from 0 to 9.999 before I cast. If I switch these operations around, notice what happens. I'll generate the random number between 0 and 0.999, and since casting has precedence over multiplication, I'll cast that result as an int. Well, if 0 is the smallest number and 0.99 is the biggest number I can have at this point, when I cast it as an int, I'll get a number between 0 and 0, or just 0, because all casting does is just truncate the decimal portion of the number. I'll multiply that 0 by 10, and I'll end up with 0. Be careful when you cast. Remember that casting has higher precedence than multiplication and division, and if your results are not as you expected, then you've made a logic error. Check your code to make sure that you're casting properly. In this tutorial, you learned about the math class. You learned that math is part of the java.lang package, and you do not need to import this package to use the classes. Math contains static methods, which are run through the class name, not from an object that was created from the class. Lastly, we learned how to use the random method to generate random numbers in our program.